they were paying 99, baby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, at that
That's
time
the, you know, say, make sure keep that in. No, it's real out here.
at
That's
that time,
it started the video.
Yeah, real.
at that
You
time,
want to say?
One more thing. Now, I've been pronouncing the name Yohance. Is your name Yohance? Yohance.
it is Yohance.
Yohance.
Say, yeah.
So even my good friend Julius is still pronounce my name wrong. And no matter
He's
how
shit.
much time I tell him, he's
It's
still saying,
Australian.
you know?
Right?
So,
Too difficult.
so like it
It's,
would sound like SAY at the end.
yeah, I understand. My name is Osei. Other people say OC and stuff like that. So I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that really valid.
once again,
I live that, so don't
hey,
worry.
stop choosing violence now, Zwad.
All right, Zwade.
Zwade, I was
see
just
what I mean?
about to say Zwade. Is this
Is
Zwade?
what it.
Fire.
Good night again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Trifactor podcast. I think this is episode 21. Good night to all the 60 subscribers out there. We're thankful for you guys for rocking with us. Thank you for rocking with us on Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, anywhere you're hearing this right now, right? So basically this podcast is to shine a spotlight on everybody from Trinidad Tobago who had a presence in football, whether it be at intercol level, professional level, national level. So you want to hear all about the stories. You want to hear all about how they start, how they develop, any tips for the youngsters coming through. Yohance, bro, nice for thank you for coming on with us, and we appreciate you being here, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
All right. So let me just start it off with the most recent futsal.
Mm-hmm.
You on the futsal team. Tell us a little bit about how that happened. If you were into futsal a long time, and what was the experience like?
I was not. I've known of futsal just from following a little bit, but wasn't too into it. I've seen it grow over some of the Latin American countries and Central American countries, and I was approached by the president Geoffrey, and he asked me if I would be interested, and there was no football going on at the time. Wasn't that fit, so I started to just to ramp back up things. There's nothing going on in the country for the past year or so, and I still have a drive to play, and took a leap. Started to understand the futsal is definitely different from football. Is if I could put it anyway, it's like basketball and hockey mixed with football.
Right.
Because it's like set plays and you could screen and so it's a whole different type of thinking, the way you control the ball, the way you pass the ball, your movement of the ball is similar. A lot of things is similar, but it's one-on-one, high intensity, constant transition. So your fitness definitely has to be right up there.
But that's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna say how you go from unfit to futsal fit, like that's different level.
The good thing the good thing about it is flying subs. So you can constantly substitute players constantly rotate in and out. So you on for a minute, you come off, and the games are 20 minutes a half, so 2 halves. And but it's definitely high intensity, and I think it is a good base for players learning the game. I think I had a different conversation with another panel, and this could be a good start for our youths. A lot of the South American countries use futsal as the base to start, and then after I think age 12, they then branch off if they want to continue futsal or if they want to stay into go into football or whatever sport. But you get a true definition of how to control the ball, how to pass the ball, because the surface is pure, So
Right.
Yeah, well,
And the question is though, you see futsal probably has a easy thing for starting up given our small world culture, right? So how was that transition for you aside from your fitness? Was it really like a regular small goal sweat for you, or you
it's not
started with
small
that
goal.
in mind? Right.
No,
Okay. So
no, it's not
explain
small
the
goal.
differences between those two.
The difference is structure,
Okay.
right? You have a goalkeeper, different size goal, but it's still understanding movement, players, and not just you standing up in one position. If you just stand up in one position like small goal, yeah, we always have a man in the back. He ain't moving from that position. No, it's a lot of rotation. And if you just stand up in the back, teams will pick you apart when you go to the higher level. But it's definitely different. Understanding the game, movement in the game. And yeah, I think if you really want to learn football, same thing. Futsal, if you want to learn futsal, is the same thing like football is a process. It's not like you could just go. You had to practice and learn the different methodologies that they have, different things they have in place to make that process a little easier. So it was a process for me when I went in there. It wasn't just like I jump in and I know what's going on. Nah, I started from scratch. I was making a lot of mistakes just like any other players, but it's just a matter of once you repeat the sessions, constantly go over and do it again and again and again, you will have a better understanding of it.
You made an interesting comment there about how it has a lot of set plays and thing, and in that way it reminds you of hockey and thing like that. But wouldn't you say like pro football is kind of full goal football is actually kind of evolving towards kind of set movements and then players are being coached into and stuff like that, or no?
It's different. You see, on the football field, you can improvise and free flow in so much space,
Yes, yeah.
right?
Space is
Space.
different, obviously.
Think of the basketball court, right? How condensed it is. Think of when you want, if it's LeBron or somebody to get a ball, LeBron and go straight for the ball. He'll start in the opposite corner. Two men will come and block two players, and he'll run around. Kind of.
Right.
Think of it like that. That's how it is. It's set plays to create space to shoot, to pass it back post. Yeah. So it's different in that aspect.
Yeah. I see the rolling under the foot, because I played it a couple times. The ball doesn't bounce.
Yes, and that's the thing. The weight of the ball different. It's not like a normal field ball. The weight a little heavier. It's a little smaller. And for you to have that true control, you have to control with the sole of your foot. Because if you control like you're on a field, it's
Definitely,
easy to roll away if you're looking up. So
yeah.
that aspect of it, that's why they always control with the soul, and they control with the soul and move it in a direction you want it to go.
So you think this is something good for our youths to get into football and things like that? So as far as like the coaching in futsal, does Trinidad have a lot of coaches and stuff like that in futsal? Is there courses and stuff like that for coaching, etc.?
So there are a lot of courses going on right now through Futsal 868. I think I know they do a lot of coaching courses, introductory courses, and I think level 1, 2. So anybody can go and start. I think they have it every couple of months. So they just had one the end of last year, and I think they have some programs going on currently. I think a couple of days ago they were talking to the national team of China coach, the coach of the national team of China. So
Hmm.
I think they're constantly having like forums and seminars, webinars to educate people who want to get more involved into the futsal. I think it's something good. I think we are creative
Yeah.
when we get the ball, but what we lack sometimes is the structure.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. There was one thing. It was back in all harder because I had like we were watching the game online. It was available online, and we had a big chat and talking and celebrating and it
It had an episode we trying to talk and so they celebrating goal and go, hey,
was
shoot the ball up behind.
And
But
they won't tell you all laugh at me for stand up for the anthem, all kind of thing.
But I
Don't tell
didn't
you
go.
that.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
go
I
with it.
know.
I get.
yeah.
They released me probably a couple weeks before or a month before they picked the
Right.
final squad because the squad is only 14 players.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it was my fitness or what. I think I could have added something to the team, but at the end of the day, that's the decision they made. So
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So,
support them
so you took
at
in the
the
games
end.
online.
Yeah. I took in most of the games. I took
I
in
think
most of the
a
games.
lot of
Most of
Obviously,
them.
football fans in
yeah.
they supported heavily.
Yeah, and especially some of my friends were there as well too. So I got to know more of the players and some of my closer friends. Keston George was there. He's like a little brother to me from long time, and then Shawnee Silver as well too. These two guys were across in Iceland with me, and
Okay.
yeah, we are founding fathers of the Canbouplay Foundation as well. So
Right.
it's like brothers that you're watching.
Right.
I guess we'll say since you start in the front and we're going backwards,
Going backwards, yeah.
so let me do that. Let me continue along that. So before getting into the futsal, were you in Iceland most recently? Or
Yes. So I was
okay.
in Iceland 2019, and the majority of our foundation was there, which is Keston. Myself was on the same team. Sean De Silva was close by. Akim Armstrong, Jared Bennett.
Jared boy.
Um, who else? Boy Sample was there as well. I think those five from the foundation was there. I'm not sure if I forget somebody. I feel like I forget somebody.
So me and Osei went to the same school in the US, and it's a obscure school, so people just wonder how all these trainees end up there and things like that. So how all these trainees end up in Iceland? So we went South Carolina State in Orangeburg,
Okay.
South Carolina.
Well, I
But
feel like I know that.
nah, you probably know somebody because it had about we were like
And I know Charleston. Sean
we were
and
probably like
Charleston.
30 strong or something at one point. Anyway, but how all them trainees end up in Iceland?
Iceland, eh? Iceland.
What's it?
Ice. No, I just emphasizing the weather, the ice, right? The
Actually,
ice.
Greenland is colder and Iceland is
Exactly. Yeah.
I not doubting
And
that though, but
when
it's still colder than Trinidad.
when we were there, it was actually best summer they had in years.
All they bring it to tell you. Yeah.
It was so cold.
Yeah.
I like the weather.
Right.
My wife not so much, but but how we end up there was Keston, I think, went there on a trial couple years back, and he kept in touch with one of the players, and I guess they reached out to him. They were talking, and the guy said he had an opportunity with another team. We were moving forward with that team, and then last minute it collapsed. And then another team, I guess, heard of our profiles, or he sent our profiles to another team, and they were interested, and we went out there, and they sent all our profiles to, I guess, different
Teams in the league.
teams, and who grabbed that display and who grabbed that.
I was thinking he was gonna say something about like an agent, or they had a super agent who was a trainee or something.
I was surprised I didn't hear agent mentioned. So this is why
it wasn't really an agent. It was more of a friend of Keston who liked what Keston showed in his trial then, and I guess the impression that he made then was just good enough to keep that communication. And once we sent our highlights and stuff to the guy and he sent it out, there was some interest.
Representing the country well, man. I like that.
Yeah, we did well. We won our league, and the team gained promotion as well. So
nice.
All right.
Any culture shock? Any?
So I'm for myself. I'm well traveled, right?
All right. So it was easy for you.
It was easier for me. It wasn't that difficult. The weather wasn't that bad for me. I really like the weather. The food wasn't okay. So I'm a vegan. I have been for probably around 6 years or so now.
Right.
And there are a lot of options there for vegans. So the transition was cool, but there's a lot of meat as well too. So Keston and they were good. The food wasn't tasting that bad as well. So there were a lot of nice places. So that transition wasn't as bad.
But the language English is one of the main languages?
Yes. So a lot of people speak English, right? But they have their Icelandic Viking language. And it's weird. It's like a mixture of Arabic and German, and
really,
yeah, it sounds really different.
So you learn some more.
I'll learn basic words. You have to learn the basic words to get by.
You had to say some kind of Trini phrase, but in the language. I don't know.
I know that. Everybody used to speak English to us. But it's just some places just out of respect, you say good morning and the answer yes and these things. So you have to try to pick up. You have to try to pick up on some things because sometimes when they want to talk faster, they go to their native tongue.
Right.
Then we might get a little translation, so they'll talk for like 5 minutes in their native tongue, and then they'll come back 20 seconds and say yes.
And that's what we used to be doing in school. We will be talking about Trinity, and then we had to say, what we were just saying was,
Yeah. So you can't get away from it anywhere you go.
So was it around this time? So how long ago did you guys form the Canbouplay Foundation?
We formed Canbouplay 3 years ago, right? Okay. Last month we actually celebrated 3 years of being in existence, or formalizing everything, I should say.
Right.
And we have been going strong. The last year it's been difficult, to say the least, because we are very hands-on in our approach to dealing with some of the youth in Trinidad and some of our outreaches. But with everything, you have to adjust and adapt. So, the online, the Zoom, we have to try to make it fun for some of the students or some of the players from some of the projects that we had going on.
So this is while you were in Iceland, you all kind of had the idea and thing to have a foundation, or
no. This predated that. So we started in 2018, I think, after how we really started was after the Pro League season, I think in 2018 or 2017. The league was probably about to fold or close, and a bunch of professionals
Yeah.
started to train. We started, I think, it started with Keston and Primus, and then I think I joined in, and from 3 players, we got up to about 25 players.
Nice.
High intensity. We are running our own sessions, and coaches reaching out to us to come and try to do a session. These are some of the I guess foreign-based players that came back. That we are constantly working, so we pushing each other. It's a good group of players, and as players had to go back to their different leagues around the world, the numbers started to come back down, and we all after we trained, we always sit after and have in-depth conversations, about our communities, ways that we could impact. And I think when the numbers came down, we started to meditate it a little more, and we were approached by a friend and say it could be something we can start, um, and we ran with it. We ran
And
with it because the names most of us were still playing.
mhm.
So the impact that we would have had, current footballers
Yeah.
going into your own community,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and mentoring, helping, running different programs. There's nothing like it in the country.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't think there's still anything like it in the country.
Mhm. True.
And yeah, we had that idea, and we set out some goals, and we have been slowly hitting these goals, and we have been growing.
And this is all over the country, or is it based in one area or
No,
what?
no. One of the first projects um, we did with one of Julius's teammates. He came into Trinidad. We reached out to, I think, 5 different schools, and then we had a project with the U.S. Embassy where we went to Cedros, um, Diego Martin. We were in Arima, Chagonas, So we reached out to a lot of different parts of Trinidad, and we still do that. We try to make it inclusive. So
Okay.
All right. So speaking of going back to the community, where did you grow up, Yohance?
born, raised in Diego Martin,
They go.
and grew up Arima.
Okay.
Very
So
East and West.
East and West, yeah.
Because
So
it's
not
called
south. Not south.
Foundation, yeah. The foundation is Diego Martin,
Yeah.
and then moved to Arima right before, like right at the end of primary school.
Okay. So
So around 10, 11.
any structured football in primary school? Where did you start to play the game?
So I started playing the game in Diego Martin with Saki's coaching school.
Okay.
Right. That's like it was like a neighborhood team, village team, and we trained in Northern where they have the new stadium there now. Before they build up that whole new stadium, we
Okay.
trained there, and we trained in Diamondville, and that was Saki's coaching school, and a lot of players passed through there. So that was my first taste of structured football.
Okay. Okay. What type of player were you? Were you always a defender?
No, I was not a defender. I was a striker winger.
Striker.
Everybody just
Because
start up front, dog. Everybody just start up. Want to
the
score the
speed,
goals.
I had I had speed.
Not a,
I had speed. So I was a runner before. So
yeah.
they used to come up there. I used to run, cross, finish.
Yeah.
So um, that was me. And then St. Anthony's, that all changed.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So did it change immediately?
It did not change immediately. How it changed was, so
Necessity.
I started off as a striker winger.
Yeah.
So Form 1, I made the team, and then I think I must be get cut. And then I came back on the under 14 team.
Okay, you mean on the 14 team? Okay.
Yeah. So it had like a Form 1 team first.
Right.
And then after
From
the
1 under 14.
yeah, going up. So Form 1, I was there for a little bit, and then I get cut or released or something,
Yeah.
and then came back at probably Form 3.
Yeah.
Form 3 with the under 14 team, and Form 3 or Form 2, somewhere there. And at the under 16 level, I transitioned from a striker,
Yeah.
winger in a practice session. It had a practice session where started off in my normal role.
Yeah.
And then the coach moved me back to the midfield, which was Nigel Groves now.
Right. Yeah.
Late Nigel Groves now. And
Rest in peace.
RP.
yeah, and then played there for a little bit, and then he moved me back again, centre back. And after that session,
Yeah.
my
That is it.
position changed.
Were you in the time of
Forever.
Kenwin Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he went the opposite direction.
He
Or was
went
he
the
still a
opposite
defender?
direction.
No, he went the opposite direction. I remember he started off in the back.
He was right
He
back.
was,
He was
he was
right
still,
back,
he was still
centre
a
back.
defender. He was still
He
a
was right
defender
back,
then.
centre back, and then
Yeah.
he also played on the wing and then
Okay.
up top. But in the World Cup that time, I think he was a right back in the World Cup.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 2001 under
Yeah, the Youth
17
World
when he
Cup.
went across the
But I
UK,
remember him.
started up front.
I remember him in an Intercol game playing in midfield, somewhere
For us,
right wing or
for
something.
us,
Yeah,
he was attacking mid.
yeah, I remember that.
So
With the
that
with
year,
the big
2000
self, with the big self advantage, man. Feel looking like
2002,
I tell you, that side was just disgusting, right?
no, but you're watching him and like, course, you not in secondary school though. Don't blame on you.
nah, he was just
He looked like he was under you because
a
he crossbar.
beast.
That was
So
always,
But that was the training he had from that under 17 group. If you watch out a lot of the players from that group,
Yeah.
the
The
work that they
Beasley,
put in
yeah,
was different. Julius, Dujan,
Yeah.
Blackman and Forbes and
Forbes,
all those
Forbes
players.
was a beast, boy.
All those players.
I just remember what I just remember always is you're playing St. Anthony's, you're trying to sing your Raz, you're trying to get excited with your CIC Raz, and then next thing you know,
after 5 minutes, you go again.
advantage thing. So that is
it was disgusting. That side was too disgusting, but
that was a good time. That was a real good time.
for sure.
That was my first year in Intercol as well.
Okay.
So that was 2002. I was the youngest player on the team.
Okay.
And
How old were you? You remember?
I was 16.
16.
I was 16, first Intercol, and I won 3 Intercols in a row.
Yeah, for sure.
Good time.
Remember
Good
it.
time.
But I did not look too impressed by that.
You saw us still.
I just remember, and it was just disgusting. That side was disgusting.
I always used to be on highlights right through, and I used to enjoy those.
That team was Jan in the back. That Jan started. Then myself, we played at 3-5-2,
Serious.
which wasn't heard of.
Yeah.
In secondary.
It was different. It was
at
really
the
different.
time.
It was really different.
Just because of the players I think we had, to get most of the players on the field.
Yeah.
Myself, I was like the sweeper.
Nice.
Julius and Marcel Francois was the man markers.
Yeah.
We had Kieran Benito as the
Disgusting.
holding.
Disgusting.
So Kieran Benito, Kenwin, and who boy? And Cleavon George.
Wait,
Yeah.
Carlos said was just before there, right?
Yeah, Carlos.
Yeah,
was
he was
before.
before.
That was my brother. That was my brother. Yes.
Yeah, Carlos was there the year that I just went in.
Right.
Yeah, and then outside
was a
was
familiar name.
Yeah,
What to
Cleveland
say is
Brothers.
usually ask, so what first get you into football? Like, was it your father and thing or what?
No, my father was a cricketer at the time.
Wait,
From what I heard, a real good cricketer.
Right.
yeah.
And he stopped. He stopped and wanted to do electrical work. My mother was a runner. There was no real football inspiration within my family.
Right.
I guess most of my family was more running. But my uncle used to do hurdles as well too. So my grandfather was a runner.
Case in your family, boy.
Yeah. So but didn't really have any real footballers in my family. And I guess from what the conversations I've had with my mother, she said that from a young age, I just like football, and
Okay.
I told her that I wanted to be a footballer. And
Nice.
stuck with it, and
So there was encouragement from home, or did they put any emphasis
yeah.
on books? So
Well, there will always be that in a Caribbean family,
We can't get it from that.
definitely.
you know. But the story is my mother was a runner and she got a scholarship.
Nice.
Then she got pregnant and she couldn't go.
Oh,
So
okay.
it
Yeah.
was
You are the unfinished business.
yes, and then I
Yes,
had to
yes,
finish
yes.
the business.
Right,
It
right,
was
understood.
always instilled,
Nice.
get your education, use it to get the education, and then propel yourself going forward. But I would remember a story they telling me. Like, have a picture with me when I was I think a 2-year old, and I had a football, and I slip on the football, and I bust my teeth with way piece of my lip.
Wait,
They never find the teeth. I still have a scar here. Went to hospital. I think I get a couple stitches, and they say when I went back home, I started back to play.
One time.
Yeah, you love it, you love it, you love it, you love it.
So I guess it was there from long time. I don't know where it came from, but it's a passion that I still have. I still want to play,
Nice.
but obviously
You still want to play striker too, huh?
not so much, not so much. I've learned to appreciate my position now.
Right.
I study my position a lot, and I like to read the game.
Yeah. So you won 3 intercalls back to back. Only beating everybody. And then when you graduated, what happened next?
So after St. Anthony's, so obviously the 3 years were different. Players leaving and younger players coming up. I was the youngest player my first year, oldest player my last year, obviously. After St. Anthony's, I went to the University of South Florida with Kevin Neves.
As the Bulls?
Yeah, USF Bulls. I went there 2005. I went there in the spring. Played the spring season, and then the fall season is when the real football starts. So I guess I got a little introduction on what that football would be like, the speed, the opposition, the weather, Yeah. Well, according, when I went up there, it was the coldest. It was the coldest in Florida in years. So I
But
guess
what
when
I
I
mean,
go
that's not
when I
that
go
mean
places when I go places like is always the extremes,
Yeah.
So
It's so cool.
it reached down to all 30s and 20s.
You serious?
Yeah.
Was that where everything was icing over? I think I read about that.
We had some flurries and
That might
and
be that same year. What year was that? What year was
that
that?
was 2005.
I think that's the end.
Yeah, 2005 or
Yeah.
2006. There was this thing where it was
Yeah.
ice all over the south
Yeah,
of America. So yeah.
So we
that
had
could
some
be it.
flurries and some light snow days and stuff, which was
You went.
unheard of when I just go nice. I picked that school to go up in nice
Go
sunshine
avoid it,
and nice weather,
They ain't even selling no hoodie in Walmart down there. it's only short sleeve and
They're bringing the hoodies. They're bringing the hoodies. You know, but
the bad part is they don't have they doesn't have the salt trucks, but
yeah.
So any ice, the road is being shut down for days. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I got to transition in my first spring season there, which allowed me to flourish a little better in the first fall season. So I got a taste of opposition for MLS teams and all that. So
Also,
in spring, there's like the spring season, and a lot of MLS teams go to these warmer states or sometimes colder states, and they play against university teams as warm-up games and stuff. So I think we probably played like Columbus and DC United and some of those teams.
Wait, what is that? Wait, that's still in John times?
I don't feel like I played against Stern at that time.
Stern
But that could probably be around Stern time. I feel Stern could have been
Stern just left
2002 or 2003.
Stern probably
he just went across to
like when he was getting benched for scoring too much.
Yeah,
I was around that time.
You know, so.
But just to step back there a little bit, so for the aspiring youth man who or girl that are trying to get into college in the US and things. So how did that actually happen? SATs, like what?
Yes. So SATs is the base of your entrance to go in there. But obviously, if you're in Form 6, they can use some of your grades to help with like the clearinghouse. So the clearinghouse, I guess, is some kind of grade system where they switch over and they see your level of understanding if it's ready to go into the university or something like that. And I did my SATs. I was accepted, and I was recruited because Benito was at USF the year before. He went up, I think, 2 years before. And Julius was in UConn. I think I got recruited from them as well.
Nice.
And Rutgers and West Virginia and some other schools.
So you had to make real tapes and thing and send around?
No, they came down at that time, you know. Coaches used to come down and watch games. I think the league at that time was decent, you know. We didn't have it how they have it now, where you can get video coverage from Sportsmax or whoever it is. And nobody really used to tape that game unless you get from the news, and that would just be like a little highlight or something. But yeah, I guess word of mouth, and they come down and they watch a couple games, and I was recruited by, I think a lot of teams were looking to get my signature.
So it's basically good guys made a good impression on coaches. I say, we need more of that. We need more of that.
Yeah, and that's always work.
Yeah.
Not just school, but in the professional game as well. So when you're at a team, if you go to a team and you perform well, that will now open the door for that team to look for other players from
where you are.
Yeah, from where you are, where you can pull. So like, for instance, Levi is doing well now in Greece.
In Greece,
and he was afforded the ability to bring his brother to get opportunity there. You know, so that's how the cycle is. That's how the cycle is everywhere. You know, so Kieran made a good impression when he was up there, and same thing. He recommended myself and Kevon, and both of us went up there along with Jason Debnish and David Mohammed.
An ex-Gustin player.
Yeah.
Got it like again, nightmare.
Debnish was a KRC man. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was both.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. That even though was drafting men disgusting me.
I do
Bro,
remember
I
he
went
into
St. Anthony's. We didn't draft anyway. He
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
QRC CIC.
yeah. Yeah.
They had whoever beef they
1 year
had.
we do that. Only 1 year we will admit to doing that.
All right.
And
That's all it.
and that year the sin never more. The sin never after that. Never again. Never again.
Because it wasn't just him, it was Aldo and it
Well, no
was
hope and all of them. Yeah,
McHale, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I remember McHale. That was the only one who used to come to school.
Yeah.
Oh, so I behave now, boy. Anyway,
Memories.
so did that place any pressure on you being recommended, or it was just football to you? And all your serious guys.
For me it was an opportunity to further my education and still play football, you know. And obviously I look at it this way. Everybody path is not the same, right?
Mhm.
That was my options at the time. School. I don't think I got much pro options,
Okay.
you know. But some players, their pro option was the only option. They saying they going pro and they going pro by
Mm-hmm.
you know. I had a twofold where I saw opportunity to get education, a higher education, fulfill a dream of my mother,
Right.
and continue my football. You know, so I chose that route.
Yeah.
That route was good for me. That might not have been good for another player, but for me, that was what I saw. I saw opportunity there, and I took that opportunity. And when you could look at it a bunch of different ways. I watch at it as at that time they were paying. At that time,
Yeah.
the one semester I think was about 40,000 US.
Yeah.
So if I looked at it monetarily
Yeah.
as a professional player for a year, that's 80,000 US. I wasn't gonna get that
Right.
as a professional player in
Makes sense.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
You know, so
Mhm.
I looked at it as over the 4 years, that's what's happening. I'm gonna come out with a higher education and I can still play football.
Right.
You know, football was always the goal. So for me, that was a win-win.
I
For
don't.
sure.
I don't mean to. Nah. Well, I mean to. Why you think Trinidad don't farm, for lack of a better word, college students who playing at a high level better, boy? Why you think they don't use these guys to at least push the pros to play at a better level? Let them come home screen. Men will be hungry. Men want to prove
I
themselves.
feel like we don't have a proper database of players playing abroad. Now there I think there's now they have been building that database over the I think the last decade or so, right? But you have to once you go into that system, I don't feel like the forces that be down here watch too much to that system. And there might be some exceptional players.
Mm-hmm.
So like Kevon Eves, when we were in school, I think 2006, right before the World Cup,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
right? He got
Okay.
or right after the World Cup, one out of the two, maybe right after the World Cup. And this he was in school still, you know.
Okay.
But what they used to do is on the off season in December, they used to have a mini camp where some of these players could come and you will see some of the coaches take them and the coaches will have an understanding of who these players are. But they don't really do that anymore.
No
We don't have
disrespect,
like a
but
January
no
camp like
disrespect.
how the US
You
players
ever
have it.
no you ever still well no you are but no disrespect, but we come home for Christmas, coach man.
Well, it's according to what you really want from this, and
Yeah, I just
it's according to what you really want from this.
But
If you
but
really want it, that don't mean you still can't do what you want to do when you come home for Christmas.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because I used to come home for Christmas. I used to tell him and go and check my friends and family. But I understand
Yeah.
when I go back up in the States, the first week or the second week is a big test.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
in spring and all.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
Spring,
mean,
spring
I
is the
okay.
time. Spring is the time for
You
just
pay down the
fitness,
foundation. Yeah, pay down the
It's
foundation.
just fitness. And then it had the spring season. So, you're
so if
playing
they,
against MLS teams and things. So you can't just go in,
Yeah.
you're getting to see different players as well. So
All right, let's scratch that.
so if they
you could
didn't
come
have
home.
so if they didn't have database, they just wasn't finding these men. Then they were missing a
No,
lot of players. Then
some people would just being lost in the system.
men who have
That's what
best
it is.
NCAA records and all kind of things just never get called up.
If you have, if you again, if you are creating a buzz, then you will get some sort of recognition. And again, you don't really hear too much players now. At least I don't know because I'm not looking.
Yeah.
But you don't really see much players standing out in D1 or so.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Mhm.
so most of these players might either go pro, choose to go pro, or some players going to D2 schools, and then some might move up. But at the time, we had a lot of players from Trinidad in a lot of Division 1 schools and doing good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you will get that transition coming back into those January the camps.
Right.
So is
That's crazy.
yeah, the database now I don't feel like is it's probably still there, but again, the quality,
Underutilized.
what quality players are we producing now? You know,
hmm So then, so back to your story then. So you got to come in during spring, so you
yeah,
get to acclimatize and things like that. How did you find? How was the adjustment playing now the football uh for multiple seasons and things like
different.
that?
So there's a gap from
Intercol.
Intercol to college. There's a
Okay.
gap fitness wise,
Yeah.
understanding wise, and structurally.
Hmm.
Serious.
Yeah,
But skill wise, we are always there, right? The things we always lack is fitness,
fitness and
yeah, and the mental part of it,
mhm.
right? And I think myself and Kevon, we were mentally strong, so there was a little curve because you have to learn. It's not just while tackling and stuff, but there's structure. There's a lot of structure.
So Yancy, is it that we don't you don't train well in Trinidad because y'all were winning out in Trinidad, right? So y'all were basically the fittest, maybe the fittest guy. Let's just say, what would you say is that is the problem that we don't become as fit as the Americans? Is it the coach is not educated or something else?
Is a lot of different factors. You could never be here with your education, with anything, with learning football. As a player at my age, 35 now, I'm still learning things in football.
Yeah.
You know, and the same thing for coaching. As a coach, you could never reach your top. You're always learning something. And this goes for all the coaches, the Guardiolas and the Zidans and whoever. You
Mhm.
can never stop learning in football, right? And there's always barriers around our football. We pass down a lot of bad habits, right? And we don't have a lot of foundation football. So we don't always learn the basics in Trinidad
I understand
at
what you're
a
saying.
younger age. So
Yeah.
when we reach a older age, you have that foundation. Most coaching schools is you're learning to beat, you're learning, and here was saying you're learning to beat, you're learning,
Yeah.
shoot from however far.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you,
It's true though. It's
you're
true
learning
though.
to shoot from however far, but you can't control the ball properly, and you can't pass 5 yards.
Right.
And this could come back to sometimes the fields are not good enough for you to learn how to control. So, there's a bunch of different factors, but again, is how you structure your sessions. And no matter once you're transitioning from one team to our next team, there will always be a learning curve. So from Intercol to college, it was a little learning curve. From college to professional, there was another learning curve. From professional to international level, there was another learning curve. So you could never stop learning, and this could go from international friendly games to competition games is two different kettle of fish. you know
Um, would you say there was was there more tactics? People just throw around tactics. Was there more tactics to the college football than there was in Intercol?
so the college football, obviously, they're working on a bigger scale. They have more resources for them. A lot of money is being pumped into schools, for higher education, for all for athletic facilities,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. But we don't have that in Trinidad, right? So you get coaches that understand the game, right? And they will pass on that knowledge, and they will pass on the knowledge that they know, right? And you learn from that. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Sometimes it could break your spirit, sometimes it could build your spirit, you know. But again, if once you go into a different structural institution, you'll always see where everything is lined off. This is how in the morning or Tuesday for the week we have gym, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so, and we have our own gym, we have our own thing in one place. In school,
Right.
it could be, all right, you might have a little 3 weights here, or you might go down by this gym down the road. We had to find transport to reach down there.
Right.
There's no meals after, there's no, these things. But in schools now, obviously, it's growing and it's getting better.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of money within the structure up there that they could afford to do certain things and learn more, bring in foreign coaches from all over the place, and have a better understanding there. Where we are getting little by little. So
I don't know if I could jump ahead here, or if you had more
Go
questions,
ahead.
they would say. But so as far as going now from, so it sounds like your college was like you had a little learning curve, but smooth. You had a smooth sailing there.
Did
Everything.
you win anything? Just the cut.
yeah, my first year we won. So they split up the Big East into a red division and a blue division. We won our red division, and we made it to the final, I think, of the Big East. tournament. I think the final or the semi-final. The final is the biggest tournament. And we meet Julius and them. And we get 5. Because
that's real old talk, boy. That's real old talk.
when we went up there, we went up there in minus 16-degree weather.
Yeah, the trap holder.
So their field was frozen over.
Yeah.
So we could not play in boots. The day before the game, the team had to go and buy turfs for everybody.
Wouldn't you slip in turfs?
Let me hear this one.
Yeah, you could slip in turfs, but pegs not going to
Go to stick.
hole. Yeah.
So pegs worse than turf on ice.
Yeah.
Way okay.
So you might get a little more hole with the turfs. So there are so much different factors.
That doesn't sound safe.
Meanwhile, Julius and them chilling. This is normal.
Julius and them normal. They're accustomed to that.
So
we went into minus 16 degrees. I can't feel my fingers. I can't feel my toes.
Yeah. Well, you say you like cold. You say you like cold.
Not then. I could deal with the cold. No, after those experiences, obviously.
Right.
Wow.
But that year, obviously you're still learning.
Yeah.
We went into it and we get 5, and that was our experience. But we went into the NCAA tournament as well.
Right.
And I think we got to the round of 16 or something, or second round or something like that. So my first year was a nice experience. We won some things. I got a ring for it. So
you still had the ring?
Of course, I have 3 rings from my school.
Okay.
I have 3 rings from my school. My second year, I had good ratings going into the season, and after I think about the 4th game, broke my 5th metatarsal. So I was kind of out for the majority of the season.
Yeah.
Did it break by planting and you went over?
Yeah. So it broke by, I think I just plant and turn.
Yeah.
And I felt it. I felt something pop. I didn't know what it was. I come out, I went down, tried to make them tape it back to go back on, and I was like, nah boy, something wrong. We went in and get an x-ray and it was fractured.
Right.
So second year I was a non-factor. I came in like the last 2 games of the season or something. Third year I had another good year.
Right.
Won a ring again. we did well, and I got some good ratings to go into my senior year. And my senior year that I did, we had a real good run. We got some injuries in the dregs that kind of derailed us. So our most attacking creative mind, so Kevon and Bernardo Arno, who was a Venezuelan.
Okay.
Playmakers, both of them was our main playmakers. Both of them got, I think Kevon had a hernia and Bernardo had ACL injury. And our creative mind in the midfield was just lost, and we get another 5 in that game. Wake Forest.
Yeah, the midfield look like
I think that was Elite 8.
The midfield looked like Fred and McTominay, boy. Sorry.
You could say all that you want.
It was a good run in college.
Yeah, so I had a nice run in the collegiate level. I was All-American. I got some accolades. I was All-American.
Yeah.
I think first team and third team in 2 different aspects. I was rated as one of the top 2 center backs that year.
Nice.
And I was rated to go real high in the in the MLS draft.
So you were drafted. You know, we didn't.
Did you get drafted?
So funny story,
Yeah.
right? This is how everybody's story is so
Different, yeah.
different. You know, I was touted to go really high, and I came home that Christmas for a little bit, which I shouldn't have. Just to, I guess, see family and stuff, and I probably wasn't as trained as hard. I went back up before the combine, and I made a mistake in the combine. Right?
Yeah.
So I went
Mistake
as
like what?
I made a
Think I read this, but I'm here.
a pass from the back. I tried to split a midfield line or forward line, and they intercepted. They made a pass, and the guy shoot and score. So from that one mistake, I went from being rated as going in the top 10, top 5 in the draft to not even being drafted.
Hey.
One mistake.
Yeah, that's how it's go.
Wow.
I never see the MLS Combine. I never see what that look like. What the drills are, what they testing it on.
So it's no drills or no testing. Is at the time it was you bring 60 of the top players.
Yeah.
You put them into different teams and they play each other. So players that you don't know their style.
10 aside? Like full side?
Yeah, like 11
11 aside, yeah.
15 or 20 players on a team or whatever, and you're playing each other in like a kind of round robin something.
Wait.
You know, and that'll go on. It's have no drill, no real drills or practice or nothing. It's just games. At least that was then. I don't know what they do now.
So with regards to a young player learning from this, like, did it affect you in any way? How did you bounce back?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That was everything that I've worked for up to that point. You know, all my hard work from 4 years of college being rated, you know, I've worked really hard. I was all American. I was this, and you make one mistake and it could cost you. You know, I signed a pre-contract with the MLS, and I would have probably made 6 figures or something like that. You know, if I went in the top 10 and closer, I think 100,000 or something. If I went from 10 to 20 in the top 20 or something like that. So, you know, you see all your hard work over the years just go, you know, after that one mistake. So it was hard, you know. I cried, and after I cried, you know, I talked to the family, and you had to start back to work. These things happen, but they can't stop you, you know. So I start back to work a day or two after, you know, and I think a couple days after that, I got a call from Bruce Arena. LA wanted me to come in on trial. Okay. So, and they were, I think, looking at me from before, you know. So they getting a great deal because they were looking for center backs.
Right.
They took so at the time, the top 2 was myself and Omar Gonzalez, which was, he played for the US. And they still got both of us, but they got him. They got him
as a draft pick.
As a draft pick, as in number 2 or 3 or something, and they brought me in.
So them get through real good.
Yeah, they got through, but
so
for me it was.
So they pay you to make a mistake then.
It's how it does work.
That's crazy.
So if you took the ball and booted it over the fence, and you wouldn't have no problem with that. That's what you're saying.
You see, it in the moment, I thought it was a good pass.
No. What I mean is, if you took the ball, right, instead of trying to make a a progressive
And
pass
just clear it.
and clear it in the stands.
Could it be
knows?
better?
Who knows?
Would that be better?
You don't know how it would have worked though.
I don't know how it would have worked.
It still work out.
These things is work for. These things could have been something for me to learn.
Yeah.
You know. So everything is happening how it's supposed to happen. As much as you know, it hurt. It also built a certain resilience in me, and I knew that I had a goal, and it got derailed a bit. But I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop with my dream. I still had a dream of being a professional footballer. Just because I wasn't drafted doesn't mean that I can't continue. You know.
So did you have an agent? Did you have an agent at this time?
I had an agent at the time. I had an agent.
So being undrafted changes the terms of your contract big time.
Of course. Of course. Now they could
play harder ball out to you.
Of course, they could give you take this chump change. And the difficult thing going into my first year with LA is that the opportunities that they gave Omar, right? They gave him the opportunity to make mistakes, right? And once you get the opportunity to make mistakes, you get better, right? And I wasn't given that same opportunity. It was like, you know, if he made a mistake, it was, hey, it's all right, let's get better. But if I made a mistake, it was like, hey, you know, they came down on you. But again, as you grow older, you understand things differently, you know. So I'm a young Caribbean player. I would take up a international spot, you know. There's so much factors that going into these things. So he's a young American player,
and he was the number one draft or whatever, draft.
Yeah, he was a high draft pick. So they want to build a team around him.
Yeah. When coaches drop a man high, they try to make sure he does well.
No, but think of this is Timo Werner. This is Timo Werner all over again. All right. If you come in as the big ticket, they had to make it work. Otherwise, they look bad in their recruitment. They look bad in their all their planning and thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know. So once you get the opportunity to make mistakes, you will grow as a player.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't have that I didn't have that leeway, so I had to work harder.
Yeah.
And when you see players in the locker room, the Beckhams and the Landon Donovans and the
Donovan.
You know, you see these players, and you see Beckham at the time was the highest paid player in MLS.
Yep.
And he was one of the hardest working players on our team.
For sure.
You know, so me as a young player, seeing him, I never really liked him, and he was a good player as a player. But when I saw him and saw his work ethic, I got an appreciation for who that player was and how great he was. You know, you know, and I learned a lot from him. It had sessions where, you know, I'm seeing when he was coming back from his injury, we're training and he's doing fitness after every session. We have a game on Saturday, and Friday he's doing fitness. And as a young player, if I'm seeing the best player doing that, what am I going to do? I'm going to do what the best player is doing. So I used to go and run with him and stuff, you know.
So you're back on your cell phone now?
Nah, nobody really had him on the cell phone, huh?
No. He call you. Don't call him.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is. But he was a down-to-earth character, you know. It had days where he running fitness and I want to go, and he'll call me. He'll say, until I go, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, as a young player, that happening, it changed your perspective
and he was always fitter.
Yeah, it changed your perspective on how a professional player is supposed to.
I did read about. So what I was saying was I did read about the it's on Yohance Wikipedia page. It talks about the super draft, the MLS draft and thing, and like how it was predicted to be like a high pick and thing like that.
That's how it's go, boy. That's definitely how it's go. You know, it doesn't change the player that I am or who I was. You know, and these experiences will either build your character or break your right down.
For sure.
You know, and I took it as a learning, and the next year I was same thing. I doing fitness with Beckham. You know, so. You know, and he's telling me, hey, let's go and do fitness. But the days when I don't want to do it, he's calling me to tell me, yo, no, what you doing? We are fitness to do. You know, so these things happen, and you learn from it, and you get certain experiences that will mold you, and that molded me into a professional player. I knew what I had to do and what I have to do, and nobody till this day can take that away from me. No matter what team I go into, that's how I am.
So, in the NBA, they always talk about like the vets and the rookies, and they say a rookie normally mirrors the vet that they get, and if they get a good vet, a good pro, they normally have good habits, and if they get a bad vet like Gilbert Arenas.
No, that's
Gilbert Arenas. He has always
that sums it up right there, bro. That sums it up right there, and
that sounds like
that mentorship is ideal, and I think that's what we understood in the foundation, and we wanted to pass that back.
Right.
You know, we wanted to pass that forward, I should say.
Right.
You know, and it's a constant exchange that we need to have, especially players now, giving back to players upcoming, because they're looking for information. What information are they getting? And it goes back to, are you mentoring these young players the right way? Or are they getting bad mentorship? And we could look at some of the national teams over the year. What type of mentorship are they getting?
Well, the highest level I think about as you was asking the question, was say was Balotelli and Zlatan. You know? I telling you, if that wasn't Zlatan, that Balotelli was an understudy of, he could have been a different player, but.
Balo, I think Balo always had that
regardless.
Balo needs somebody to be ringing ears right through.
Balo didn't need football, you know, from what I've read.
Yeah.
Balo was adopted by extremely rich family, so Balo didn't need football. So the arrogance was
there.
Yeah, it was there. You know.
So how long did you spend at Galaxy?
I was there for 2 years. So my first year, the challenging part, my first year I didn't play 1 minute of football, but I was on the bench most of the season, you know. So coming off college where you're playing every game, every minute, and going into professional ranks and not playing 1 minute, you know, that could weigh on you mentally,
for sure.
You
Every
know?
training is hard jam. I'm playing like it's a game.
You know, and again that's where the learning curve again come in. Oh, there was definitely a learning curve there as well. So I didn't play a minute, but I was always on the team. We went to the MLS Cup that year, and I was on the bench. So we lost the MLS Cup, so I have a silver medal in the MLS Cup that year. Second year, I went out on loan to Austin Aztecs for the majority of the season, and I was getting games, so that confidence came in, and then LA called me back in to play a couple games,
Okay.
and I stayed till the end of the season there.
Okay.
So
So what were the major learnings in professional football? Like, what are the biggest takeaways?
biggest takeaways, um, extra work that you had to put in, boy.
Yeah.
The extra work, from Intercol to college and to professional is the amount of mistakes. Intercol you could get with a lot of mistakes. College, less so. Professional, not so much. And
Yeah.
international, none at all.
None at all. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So is the amount of mistakes. So the less mistakes is, and this is the same thing come back to my experience. One mistake and cost me
Yeah, of course, our draft pick, yeah.
it cost me the draft pick. So it's the amount of mistakes that you make, and you constantly have to work on your craft. Constantly have to do extra work. You can't just depend on the training that the team has. And again, the mentorship that I had at LA, seeing that after training, these same guys staying back a half hour to an hour,
Yeah.
kicking around the ball, doing fitness, and when you see those things, you understand, okay, it is a different level. This is your life, and
Right.
if you want to reach somewhere, you're gonna have to do things that you've never done before,
Put in the work.
and it has been like that for me ever since.
So what came after? So after your LA contract,
After LA, they
Yeah.
offered a new contract, a new 2 or 3 year contract, and I didn't want to be in that same situation where I wasn't playing as much.
Right.
I needed to play, and that's what I want. I needed to get more experience playing, and I chose not to take the contract. It could have been a good decision, could have been a bad decision on my part. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
It's not something I regret.
no. This is a choice, and within every situation, you had to make a choice. And at the moment, that's the choice that I made. And it was a choice that I think was the right one for me, or was not the right one for me, because things could have, I guess, gone differently if I chose to stay there and wait out my time. So I had an opportunity where I was supposed to go with that same Austin team. They were now changing over to, I think, Orlando City.
Oh.
And
wait, Orlando. All right, keep going.
yeah, so Austin Aztecs, the owners and the coaches moved to Orlando. So I had the opportunity to go there, and we was trying to finalize contracts, and last minute they went with somebody else.
Okay.
And I went up to Rochester Rhinos. So the first part of the season, the first half of the year, I wasn't really playing. I was looking for a team. And then I went to Rochester Rhinos, finish up the season there. And then after that, I went over to Thailand.
How was that?
Okay.
And there the journey starts.
How you end up in Thailand?
Opportunities, boy, I tell you, opportunities.
Again, this is
Fabian.
this is an agent or no agent again?
This is Fabian Lewis, I think. At the time, I think he reached out to me and told me he had an opportunity there. A team was looking for a defender. I think he was working with probably an agent, and he was playing, I think, in Singapore at the time. And I didn't have much going on. I took the opportunity. I went across there, playing well, but these when you go on these trials, sometimes it's so
weird.
different. I'll put it right.
Yeah.
It's not
Food.
based on your ability all the time, but it's based on how much weight your agent has.
Wow.
So you could go as a good player and you could show real good in the trial, and which happened with me. And another player who's not as good, but his agent is stronger, and that's what happened,
Wow.
But
Okay.
I signed with what happened. I was on trial with one team, and then for sure I played well. They called me back. I played a couple games, and saying yes, okay, I'm gonna sign with this
Okay.
team, and then last minute nothing happened. I
Whoa.
invited another team was looking for a forward, so I recommended another player, which was Jagdeep Singh, Kendall Jagdeep Singh,
Kendall Jaguars, yeah.
right? And he came up to our team, and he was training with the team, and he was doing well. And I went across there, and I wasn't doing so good in that trial, and I signed with the team. So
Real funny
how
way.
it go. Yeah,
It's real funny. It's not to say like wow.
Yeah,
It's real funny. It's real funny.
it's the world of football. Some places here you might be doing good and then nothing happen, and then you think you're not doing so good and then something happen. And there that was a whole nother issue. Their structure there, they had, again, it comes back to your agent. They had who players they want, and I wasn't even given a fair opportunity there. So mid-season, they wanted to send out some players, and I said, well, okay. I had a 2-year contract, and they wanted to send me out, and you're not even giving me opportunities, So it was very different there. So I left mid-season, and then I got another opportunity at the end of that season in Myanmar.
Okay.
Yeah.
That opportunity, Myanmar or Burma.
Burma.
Used to be Burma, right? Yeah.
To be Burma. And there, the opportunity came, and I was like, it had an opportunity there and one in Vietnam. I was waiting for one in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And my mother was like, you have this opportunity, sure, there. It's not what you want monetarily, and you have something that you're waiting for in Vietnam that not sure.
Right.
A bullet in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Right? So I took the opportunity and I started to enjoy football again.
Wow.
How you feel like how you feel the level of football was?
And
then even culturally, like it had plenty of fans and 10 people were serious about it. How is it?
So that was a different experience. So they were a communist country.
Yeah.
Right? So they were shut out from the Western world. Right? So at that time, I think they were now kind of opening up.
Reintegrating kind of, yeah.
And it's like the entire country was back in the 60s.
Oh boy.
Right?
Yeah.
No real internet access, and it was definitely a transition.
They are accustomed seeing people your skin color?
They had players
really?
in the league already that African players, and it's African players everywhere.
Yeah, true.
Right?
I just wondering about that too now.
Yeah, but I went in there, and there are a lot of fans. They love football, right? The level was probably at a USL level.
Okay.
Right?
So still better than Pro League.
Around Pro League, USL.
violence tonight.
They had to say all that.
According
No,
to
I'm being real because I remember on the forum, real men fighting down the man, saying what football going on, and not
Yeah.
understanding that these guys playing internationally and comparing them and saying that men playing in the pro league might be better, right? The men went halfway around the world to find this player and bring him across there, right? These men can't leave Trinidad. How you could really compare? I mean, it's not to say that by default, by playing in our international league, you're better.
Yeah.
But how could we really equate and compare the strengths of leagues, right? When he is one of, it's not to say like he's the only player we are locally. It has other local players. How come they never made the cut across there? So this is why I made the comment.
Yeah.
You can't have that arrogance about
like he was arguing in the forum.
Yes, he was robbing in the forum.
He get a real thumb down and arrow down and thing. I don't know. I'm going around
but it's with every league. Every league it have real good teams, and then it have some teams that struggling, right? And you would have differences in qualities, and it had about 3 or 4 teams across it that was good teams, where they're bringing in foreign players and high level of football, and they go into the Asian Cup, the Asian Champions League and stuff,
Right.
So that year, the team that I went to was a newish team. We finished second in the league. We almost win. We finished second in the league, and we qualified for Champions League, for the Asian Champions League. So the fan base and stuff was definitely there. The passion is different than what it is home.
For sure.
So
well, hold on. What do you mean by that, though?
Just the passion, the passion of the fans.
More than 30 people in the stadium.
The fans into the game. If this is your team, and you're backing your team to the end, win, lose or draw. They ain't go.
Now, something I noticed about Trini fans, well, we discuss everybody else. Like I remember when we in college and we cussing up the coach, the referee, the girls playing, everybody just getting.
We love to show and discuss. We good at that.
We like to show or discuss when things are going good, and when things going bad, and when things going good, we fall in suit. But it can't always be so. It can't be jumping. We don't have that same passion like a lot of countries around the world.
Right. That's supporting through thick and thin and thing.
It have some, obviously, it have some fans that are like that. Obviously,
so I did.
So I did love Trinidad football.
It has some fans like that, and you need that. You definitely need it, and we wish we could get more of it. I could tell you that from my time with the national team as well. Sometimes you're in the team, and
so that was my next question. My next question is: so in this journey, I have 2 questions really. I want to know about the culture shock in Myanmar and things like that too, because we talk about that in America, or we talk about that in Iceland with the food and thing. But what about that But then also, when did your call up to the national team come up? Was it around the same time, and how did it happen?
So my first call up to the national team was when I made my debut in LA. So that was my second year of LA when they called me back, and I was playing with LA. They called me up to the national team, so I started to play, I guess, a little more regularly, or I got some games in, I should say. And then we played a Caribbean Cup in Martinique.
That was when everything was in Martinique.
Martinique. We lost after the first game.
We draw the first game, I think.
With Cuba or something.
2-2.
You was there also? You was there?
Nah, I was very.
I like it.
It was 2-2, and then we scraped
through the
Yeah, into the next
but
round.
I don't even think I'm not even sure if we qualified. I don't think we
Nah,
qualified.
we missed the qualification by
Yeah.
the
So
third game. We just missed it by I think goal difference or some
so
chippers or
Julius and
something.
myself started the game, and at the end of the first half, I went up for a challenge and
Mm-hmm.
bust my hamstring, pop
Oh
my
no.
hamstring,
Yeah.
and I think I, it didn't have I guess a flow with the team because I think Julius and myself was starting regularly together for the last 3 or 4 games or something,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we didn't. After that, we crashed out, and I wasn't called back for the national team after that. I didn't get a phone call to say, well, hey, how the injury going? So I was out of the national team from 2010 until 2015. But I went to Myanmar in 2013, I think.
13, yeah. Well, I mean, about
2000,
13.
yeah, 2013.
I was in Trinidad that time. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
But how did you get the call up? Because
That was where the big debate
Yeah.
was.
I've heard the stories about the first call up, and not the second, but the first call up. How you get call up? Because
The
I've heard
first
stories
call up,
about how they do it.
the first call up was I was playing with Austin at the time, and obviously my confidence coming back, and LA needed me back because they had some injury woes, and I came back in, and that game again, my first MLS game was against DC United and against Julius.
All right, right.
Gosh.
Right? So, and Julius, if you all don't know, Julius was like my
Yeah,
mentor from
Yeah.
since
yeah.
St. Anthony's. He took me under his wing, taught me how to defend and all that. So, that was my first game, and I had a really good game. I think we drew 1-1 or 0-0, something like that. Right? And I played a second game with LA as well. And I think after that first game is when I guess a Trinidadian playing for LA, and he played good, and the buzz started to go
I think
around,
that I
and
heard about.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
That's exactly what you hear.
I mean,
yeah,
this man, the man in
That's
FIFA
how,
boy, the man in FIFA boy.
yeah,
that is exactly how most people heard.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the after that is when I guess my name started to buzz a little more, and I got the first call.
All right, but what was the call? Because we was just our previous guest say it was literally a phone call. Joel Bailey says it's literally a phone call.
It's a phone call.
Hey,
Yeah,
you come in or that nice
yeah.
it.
What it was, I think
You want to say no to your country or one to you, right?
who it was at the time, but I think the manager at the time. I think the manager. I don't think so. Russell was the coach at the time,
Yeah.
and I don't think Russell called me, but they called me and asked me if I would be.
The manager at that time,
I'm not sure if it
David
was David
Mohammed, boy.
Mohammed.
David Mohammed, I think. I think
Was
it
it
was
David
David
Mohammed?
Mohammed. It would have been David Mohammed.
Yeah. So David Mohammed probably reached out to me, and we spoke, and yeah, I said yeah. Obviously, it will be my first call up, and I went back.
They send a letter or anything?
I think they did send a letter.
Okay, I hope so.
You're lucky, it had meant get WhatsApp, though.
I hope so.
It had meant get WhatsApp, though.
No.
That's what I'm
I
just
think,
saying.
no.
Alright.
I think they did send a letter because obviously LA would have wanted that
To see something, right? Yeah.
that release. I feel it would have had a letter because they would have had to send it to LA,
Right.
to the team itself.
All right. So then, what about your second call up? How did that happen? So were you still in Myanmar?
No. So after Myanmar, finished the season nice, confidence booming. I think I came back to Trinidad and I played
Oh, Central
FC.
Yeah.
I played Central FC for the beginning, the first or the second half of their season. And I think we had a real good run.
Yeah.
I think it was like
Central was the strongest team at that point in time.
we had I
Central.
came in January and we had like 20 something games, I think, to finish off the season.
All the comeback like
And-
St. Anthony's, boy, just beating
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody collected on Nixon Aaron, and remember
Yeah.
that.
And
W couldn't see the way same time.
yeah. So at that time I think we must win. It had 6 trophies available or something, and we must win like 4
5. Yeah.
something.
Yeah, it was just
You know, and but they still win the league, must be like by 1 point or something.
Yeah. We're on the last day.
It went on to the last day, but we from mid-season. So I came in mid-season, and say if it was 20 games, 19 of those games we was undefeated. You know, so we had a nice run there, and I guess my name again started to buzz a little more. And then that was in the 2005. After that season, I guess I was made some promises by the management then, and
yeah, like everybody.
and things didn't turn out the way it was. So I was unattached, and Stephen Hart at the time gave me opportunity. He called me up, and I started to train with the team. I started to train with the team before we went out to play a couple international games. This was before the World Cup. So this was Argentina.
Yeah. Argentina
and Iran.
And yeah.
Those 2 games. And training with the team, and you know, that was my first involvement back into the national team. I think I was doing well. I wasn't in my mind thinking I was going to start in that Argentina game. You know, because obviously you look at how you train here. So most of the times the day before you put the team that you're going to start. And I don't think I was on the starting team, and the day of the match I see my name in the starting lineup, and you know,
don't worry, you're just playing, you're just defending Messi, nothing.
Messi and Di Maria, normal scene.
Normal, you know.
Messi,
Di Maria, Lavezzi, Palacios, you know.
All them men, he just score real fast, you know. all of them in speed.
You know, so it was like, oh boy. it was that, and then as soon as that boy, it come back down one time, because I was accustomed to that level before. So and again, from my time with LA, I've never changed the type of player that I was because of the foundation that I got from the mentors. So even as I went to play in these other leagues, I flourished because of my attitude and my work ethic. You know? And I came back with Central, it's the same thing. You know, and the same thing with the national team.
For sure.
Right? So when we went into that game, I must say that was game to remember.
That's when I started to follow Trinidad football heavy.
Yeah. I had
Are you ashamed to say that, man?
No. I don't want to lie. We being honest on here.
I remember that game. I was down Coromandel, boy, and it wasn't showing on DirecTV or nothing, and I had to hook up a hotspot on my phone
to try to
stream it. It was real bacchanal.
Yeah,
it was real bacchanal. I remember that game.
We Trinidad as a collective, we had a good game despite the result, because we tried to play football, and I think that's what was happening within the camp, you know, and that's what was bringing back the awareness of the football from the fans in Trinidad.
What impressed me the most was the organization defensively.
Yeah.
Like you could see the game plan and you could see the men, or you could see all the executing it was.
And that's the
Like,
thing.
nice.
Even if this is I was telling somebody this recently, right? Even if you don't have the best quality players in our national team, if your team is organized, you will see a difference. But you're not seeing organization. Once you see that organization, then things could come after that. Once you have an understanding for that organization, it's easy to improve on certain things. But that organization definitely have to come first.
So was that your the best game you're playing? Was that the game that you'll remember the most, or
I feel so.
is it Mexico? Is it which one?
I think that was one of the
Come on,
games that I would remember because it was against the.
You know what it is to be in the Azteca and how many pelting you. Boy.
You know, that game was in.
I thought you were talking about the Argentina game.
The Argentina.
I'm
talking about the Argentina. That's 70,000 people. You know, this
how
is
many?
70,000.
70,000 people. You know, the stadium is going up like this. You know, they are shouting. You talking to a man right here and him. You know, you're coming up against these players, the Marias, the Otamendi's, the Messi. You call a name.
Yeah.
You know, and the way that we played, and for me personally, I had a real good game. You know, defensively,
for sure.
Attacking wise, and I always tell people when I'm telling these stories, if there's one player that could say that Messi never passes me, Messi never passes that game. You know, I always tell that story. You know, but yeah, it was an amazing experience to measure yourself.
Yeah.
You know, all the ups and downs in my short professional career thus far.
Yeah.
To have that opportunity and to know that with the best of the best, I could have hold my own.
Yeah.
You know, it gave me a confidence booster. You know.
For sure.
But that's not the top. That's not the top experience. The top experience is the next one.
I don't know if the top experience is the next one or no.
But it's ranking up there. Tell me about that one.
Of course.
Tell me about that one.
That feeling is something that every time you see it, or hear about it, your pulses raise. Right. I had somebody tell me after that goal. My father and somebody tell me after that goal that I made Trinidad smile.
Boy, eruption.
You know, and to hear those kind of things, you know, it is make you feel appreciated.
Yeah.
You know, make you feel that you contributed to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and within that experience, and I show people, not much people know this, but in that Gold Cup, I played one game.
That was the game.
I played one game.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I played one game in that Gold Cup.
You change up that back line a lot.
Yeah, because we had yellow card.
And
we had yellow cards,
yeah.
You know, so I had one game on. Yeah, and I got an opportunity and I didn't. With the goal, goal.
Tell us about like the day before that game. Like, did you know you were going to play?
Okay, so before the tournament, in all the training camps, I wasn't playing to my best. So I already knew to myself, all right, I might miss starting.
Okay.
Right? But, and this is what players on the national team have to understand now, young players going into the national team, is that it's not about you. All egos have to go out of the door when you reach the national team.
Not just the team players, no?
Everybody have a role, everybody have a function, right? From the starting players to the other 7 players to the other 11 players. So the starting 11 to the 18 to the 22 or whatever, right? Everybody have a role and a function. So if you're starting, you have to have one mindset. And you, in training, you have to keep those guys on their toes.
Right.
Those are your enemies, basically. Right? But it is still your friends.
Yeah.
Because
you're
obviously you're pushing them to be the best version of themselves.
Because they go in 30% for you.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, you trying now to break into the team. Yeah. And if you don't break into the team, you still have to push them to be the best version of themselves while knowing that you're not going to play.
Right.
But this is your role that you have to fill.
Right.
And I don't feel a lot of players understand that when you go into the national team.
Sulk, you might not be in the
it have men who, who by me going through that and all kind of thing. But when you go into the national team, it is bigger than yourself. All egos have to go out the door. You're not representing yourself alone, you're representing the country.
Yeah.
Right? And at that time, I felt to myself like, I'm not going to start and I mightn't play, but I still have to push the players that's starting. So I was still going out every day and working hard. Even though thinking to myself, I mightn't get a game, but being ready if it was supposed to happen.
Who was starting then? Who was ahead of you in the center backs?
Sheldon and I think Redanford, they were starting.
Okay.
And I think Redanford must be had cards or he maybe have had an injury or something.
Right.
And they switched me in. And even then, so the night before the Mexico game, I wasn't in the lineup that he had playing.
Okay.
So at that time, I think he had Sheldon and Michael Williams and 2 wide backs or something. So I was on like the second team still. But again, in your mind, I'm like, boy, I know I'm getting to play. This would have been the right opportunity for me. Right. But same thing, I did. Even though I was thinking that, I was still working hard and still pushing the fellas, and because I understood that if they succeed, I succeed. If they do good, I do good, because we are collective, right? So I didn't see myself starting. So already in a different state of mind. And then the day before the game, and he's starting lineup, and I'm like, okay, I have to change this mentality to focus now, right?
Yeah.
And got into the game, fast pace. We had to adjust. We were doing well. We were getting some chances. They scored a goal on the back post, right? And we finished off the first half 1-0. Wasn't doing too bad. Second half start off and they come and score again, barang, 2-0. And I guess we kind of looked at each other and we know leading up to that tournament, the work that we was putting in, and even in the tournament, we were real good. So even though they scored those 2 goals, I don't think we really hung our head or doubted ourselves. And I think the first Pest scored the first goal, and then right after that, Kenwin come and score the second goal. And then right after that, Pest come and score another beauty. You know, so within I think 10 minutes from being 2-0 down,
Yeah.
we 3-2 up.
Right.
And we had this confidence. We was moving the ball. We could have scored again. Kenwin had a chance where he wrap around his foot around the player and like hit it off the post. You know, and some sub we made a couple subs coming down to the end of the game. We made a couple subs, and I guess it changed the dynamic of how the team was, right? And they pulled a goal back in the 87th or something, boy, or the 85th. So 3-3, and we're like, boy, let me just hold on, you know, get a result. The 89th, the command score next one, barang. So we like, when I look up at the clock, it was 89:50 something. So I'm like, what the hell, what the jail is this, boy? We worked so hard to last minute we give up that lead, you know, but within that we still had a belief.
89 minutes.
89:59, you see, or something, so
Yeah, 89 like 57 or something.
Yeah.
Something. I'm like, gosh, boy, you know, we work so hard to reach this point, and you look around the team and everybody like, ways, boy, you know, you hang your head a little bit, but we see it had some extra time. We could do something, you know, and we started to play, we started to pull pressure, and I think I remember running up the left flank to chase a play or something, and it went out for a corner.
Yeah.
So we had like our last opportunity, and we went up. We have set plays. Everybody know where they're supposed to be on their set play. Jervin was taking the corner. I didn't even realize that Bottles was coming down. I probably see it, but didn't really notice it.
Yeah. He was in
Right?
that zone.
Because I thinking of, okay, this is where I had to be. This is where I had to be. Right? A man on me already. I trying to maneuver. Right? I see when he was about to move to kick the ball. I didn't see when he kicked the ball. So I didn't see when he hit the ball.
Yeah.
So with my man, I give him a fake, which I think was Peralta or whoever. I fake him, and I get like a little step. And then I made my run where I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And while I give him that step, I saw the ball coming over the first defender.
Yeah.
And when I see the ball coming over the first defender, I didn't lose sight of the ball.
Yeah.
And I just connect real good with the header.
Yeah.
And I started celebrating before that header hit the back of the net. I ain't like to tell you.
Yeah.
Before that ball hit the back of the net,
You know, one time.
I was running, and I see a picture where I was already running, celebrating, and Ochoa still diving.
Yeah.
You know, so as soon as it come off my head, I know that was in the back of the net, and it was no turning back.
Yeah.
I see Kenwin. As soon as I turn, I see Kenwin, and Kenwin done backing off, so and it was off to the races.
Bottle.
What? You know, that moment there, boy.
Yeah.
You know, everybody just feel a different feeling. You know, a different emotion. You know, you're seeing it in the fans because I think we had a small section. We had a small section in the crowd.
Right.
You know, and we were seeing them. You know, we were seeing them. So after that, it was just like we kind of save it there.
It was hard to sleep that night, then.
That night, boy, let me tell you, my phone, by the time I reached back in the locker room and checked my phone,
blew up.
I must be had about 100 and something. messages from 100. I talk about 100 and something people message me.
Right.
And we check the messages after, but when we reached back in that locker room, it was like we was on top of the table.
Yeah.
So we started to celebrate a little bit. I don't think we ever did that. I don't think we ever finished on top of our group in the Gold Cup, and we were playing good football.
Real good football.
And yeah, boy, we had that experience, and again, I understood my role within the team. The next game I didn't play. We played Panama on a different field. The field was heavy. We lost that game on penalties, but just the mood around that team, we understood again your role and your function.
Yeah.
We know that
it was a team.
it was a team. We know that at the end of the day, 11 men had a start.
Yeah.
The 7 men that in starting, you can't be grousing.
Yeah.
You had to be able to push these players. Because again, if they win, you winning. We all, whatever result, it reflecting on the team. So it's a role and function, and we had a different mentality at that time.
Yeah.
Leading from that World Cup and then going into World Cup qualifiers.
All right. I think a real course when they dismissed Hart, I didn't like that. A real course.
Yeah, that was for me personally.
Yeah.
A
real course.
There's so much behind.
Yeah,
that.
well, we know.
My involvement in that team was one of leadership, and I spoke for the players, and I represented the players in a lot of instances. Myself, Kenwin, Jan, Radanfa, right? And the relationship we had with the administration at that time wasn't the greatest, and the administration didn't want the coach there from day one.
Right.
Yeah, when I stand up for my players in certain instances, it is reflected. So after Hart was released, I was somewhat blacklisted as well. So
seems like a common tune.
It's such a common refrain, boy.
It comes with the territory of speaking up and speaking for players that don't have a voice, But when you have a voice, you have to speak. So you have to take that responsibility.
I know, boy. It's like you want to go to a dog fight with no dogs, or you had to go the dogs. I don't get it, us.
What I want mean? What you telling me?
For us, in American culture, that's called the serious players, the dogs, the grinders. You don't want nobody talk with. You ain't messing with no dogs. Anytime you coming wrong, and men have the team, you'll get bite us.
Yeah, and it coming back to the same thing that I said before. Players knowing their role and function, right? And I feel that I knew my role was not just to play, but as a leader and as a mentor to the younger players coming up. Show them what it is to be a professional, just like how I got that from the different players that I've interacted with, the Beckham and whoever, And I felt like after myself and some of the other players was discarded, I felt like it had a lack
It lost some of that.
of leadership and a lack of knowledge to be passed down. So with every team, you must have experience and you must have youth. So the experience will now pass their knowledge on to the youth, so the youth could have a proper pathway to be successful and then become what they were taught. They now have to take that information and pass it on to a younger player. But if a young player is there without any experiences, how is he going to cope and maneuver certain situations that he don't know about? You will learn the hard way, but sometimes that learning does not mold the right way all the time.
Right.
You know? So I felt like my role and some other players within the team was bigger than just playing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? And I think that's what Coach Hart understood about the team. You know, the role is not always just about playing, but what structure you have as a team. You know?
Yeah. So would you say the Mexico was your best moment, your biggest moment in your career? That's the one you just remember the best, and then conversely, what's the opposite? What's the worst? What's the lowest moment?
One of the lower moments will be that experience with the
Combine.
The combine, right? And the best moment, it had to be two of them, boy, for different reasons. Different reasons, you know. Yep, the quality of players there, the amount of people. So that game was, the Argentina was 70,000. The Mexico, I think, was like 60,000.
Less? A surprise. I thought that'd be 100.
Yeah. I've been in a game where it was about 90,000.
Wait, which one is that?
That was LA Barcelona.
Oh, preseason now?
No, that was, you know, they have the International Cup.
Oh yeah. The ice. Well, they're preseason, but you're mid-season.
Yeah. Right, so when I was with LA, we play. Yeah.
This full up.
That was in the Rose Bowl.
So who's the best player against? Who's
Messi, dog? Messi. Come on.
Obviously.
All right, just checking.
Come on, Andre.
I don't know if you might gonna see something else on me. I don't know. That's rap. That's rap day.
Come on, Andre.
That's the obviously. Yeah.
Who's the best local player you play against? Who's that man? Like, he had something.
Best local player, boy. Best local player I looked up to was Otis Whitley. I really liked him. Just how he used to
confident.
Just how he used to play, smooth. But best local player, boy, I didn't. Who to say, boy? So I didn't play much pro league football to say that I play against real pro league players.
Yeah.
But I don't know, boy. I don't know. I can't say.
All right. That's good.
I feel you want to say, no.
Yeah.
No. It had some good players that obviously I come up against and I play with.
Okay.
So that's my last question. Like this, then would just be, of all the men you cook. So you know that man who's be real good in training and thing, but in the game they have their function, so he doesn't see it. Yeah. Who's like one of the best players you ever train with? on your side?
In all my career,
Oh,
All.
You only have one answer there.
right. What's the one answer?
I think it is somebody in LA.
yeah, it could be him.
Yeah,
He was a mole. He was the
yeah. I
mole
wanted
for
I wanted to ask though, what you think made him say,
Wait,
hey, think
hold
I'm
on.
interested in this?
Just to be clear, is Landon done? What are we talking about? I'm joking. Relax yourself, sorry.
Could be.
now he is an extremely
Professional
great
player.
player.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Landon over.
His
Good
his
idea.
Landon,
vision for the game. He
I
was a
think
little
please
arrogant.
know that.
He was a little arrogant,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he was a real good player. His
Yeah.
vision for the game, he was fast, and you would see man sometimes just like this
Yeah.
player,
This
but
little
Yeah.
guy. This little
his
guy.
thought processes as well was good.
Pass, yeah.
Yeah. Nah, but best I think Beckham was definitely a good mold for me
Yeah.
to to follow
Yeah.
internationally. But player locally that fits that mold is Denzel Theobald.
Okay.
You know, the professionalism there.
I've
Till
heard Denzel Theobald described as a player's player.
yeah, you know,
Players rate him.
because he is that leader and he does the same thing. He leads by example. You know, if he expecting you to do something or he wants you to do something, he is showing you that he can do it. Whatever age he was at 36, he was playing and he was one of the fittest players on the team. You know, so that leading by example, I think Denzel was definitely one of those players.
I happy for you getting to experience some of these things, man.
Yeah, I've had quite.
And then we ain't even talk about, so after Central, you went back on the road again. You went back, right? So where you went next?
I went El Salvador. I went to El Salvador for 6 months. I think I came back home after the season finished, or six to eight. No, I was there how long, boy? A season or 2 seasons. I was there.
2014 to 2015.
15, right? I think I was there maybe the full season,
Okay.
and then that's when went to the Gold Cup.
Right.
And after the Gold Cup and after our Mexico game, I went to Mexico.
One time.
You went to Mexico one time?
Yeah, they pull him in one time. I remember that.
Mexico. And I went to the
Milagros or something like that.
yeah, I went to a place where so everybody know Chapo,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right?
Chapo funding earlier.
No, Chapo wasn't funding it. But the city that I went to was the city that Chapo was in.
Okay.
So when they
Right.
catch Chapo, Chapo was in that. That's the city he was from. So I was about 10 minutes away from where Chapo was living.
What was this, buddy?
Yeah. Fun fact.
Wow. But how was it down Mexico though? You normally
Mexico?
hear
That's our next language barrier too.
real bad parts.
Not so much, because I was in El Salvador before. So the Spanish, you had to forcefully learn it by force.
Oh,
By
I thought you were saying something else. Yes, I thought you were saying El Salvador was rough, so that Mexico not so rough. I think so. They was making a comment about.
No, I was going to ask too, but I don't want to sidetrack your
train of
your
thought.
point. Yeah. How many languages you really pick up as a result of your career? Because I mean,
I've spoken a lot.
yeah, as I said, it just sinking.
Thai, I've spoken Spanish. Well, I pick up a little bit of Icelandic, but not so much. But I was speaking Burmese. I was speaking Thai. Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
continue with your comparison with
Yeah. So in El Salvador, obviously I had to learn the Spanish there.
Mhm.
And then when I went across to Mexico, I had somewhat of a base. So I got through there easier. So in games, I was mostly speaking Spanish, and when I go out, I was mostly speaking Spanish.
Rapido.
Sí, más o menos.
Yeah, well, you should take the opportunity to cuss them in English, but do it in a nice way.
Why don't?
I would,
That's what I gotta do.
I would just talk normal. I would just
Yeah,
talk,
yeah.
talk faster.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
I think
And
my
how-
favorite thing. I think my favorite thing would be people trying to talk thing in front of you, but you understand what they're saying, so you jump in. So you just tell them, "Yeah, I know what you're saying."
I would understand like that. I would
Yeah.
understand plenty things like, but I wouldn't say anything.
Right.
You know? And it comes to like, you see how we speak differently from Jamaicans. It's the same thing in Latin America. They speak Spanish differently.
Yeah.
So words different
Oh,
from.
true.
So same thing in El Salvador. I pick up some things and I might have used some of the words in Mexico, and they were like, no.
Nah, you don't talk that so.
They're watching you and say, "You from El Salvador?" Yeah.
It's this way, you know. So the context was different and the words different, and they talk like how we talk. So
Mexico.
you see how we talk faster when we talking. They talk faster as well, and they'll break up the words. So
Right.
the first the ending of one word and the beginning of the next word it going. That's how they talking in Spanish and things.
So you could recognize Mexican if you hear it versus another Latin American language, yeah?
Yeah. And I could recognize the Spanish part, and I could recognize a lot of Asian speakers as well too.
Okay, yeah.
So I spoke a little Vietnamese because I was there for a little bit as well too. So
I tried something and it didn't work out good for me now, boy. I was learning Mandarin, boy.
No, you see, you went and do it in the wrong place.
And I see, and I was helping some people with the cards in a hotel, boy, and you get through. And I started talking Mandarin to the people, though. And the man was like, not China,
No.
Chinese Taipei. And I turned white and I walk away. I was like, dog, that was terrible. Loss. I want to do that again.
just speak English, so you know for sure.
Don't assume.
Play it safe.
Don't assume the diaspora of
you can't. It's about 1,000
different ways.
dialects.
And that sometimes is offensive, apparently, right? You offend somebody by assuming
Andre, that is extremely offensive.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Don't talk to people language unless you understand what they say.
Exactly.
Don't assume.
Yeah. And I understood more than I used to speak. So when I talking to whoever I talking to, I wasn't talking proper. I talking broken, but they will formalize it in
piece it together.
Right.
You know?
And this year wasn't like Ibuye with North Korea. Earlier, what I do, man, stop they listed to you, man.
I remember that.
Shaking it. Yeah.
So my last question for you, Yohance, is good, very good conversation. I know we going long. We going this like 2 hours now. But of all you're well traveled, different cultures, different football, different level of stars and things like that. Where did you enjoy your football the most? Like, where did you feel like if you could do it again, you would spend more years playing there?
I wish I could have experienced it more in the MLS.
Okay.
Right? But I enjoyed it in Mexico and I enjoyed it in Myanmar a lot.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it because of the passion of the fans. I think I enjoyed those two places.
Okay. Interesting.
My last question for you would be, if you could talk to a young player who basically boots hung up for the last year and something, what would you tell them to continue to do?
Imagine
Many
weed
jobs there.
legal, weed decriminalized, and you could get locked up for certain in Trinidad Tobago.
I would tell them that if this is what you really want to do,
Yeah.
then find a way to do it.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Right? You can train in a 4x4 space.
Yeah.
You need a big place to train. Just find yourself and make yourself do something. Find a way to train and always try to perfect your craft. Whoever players you're looking, you idolize, use them as your model and don't just watch the game, watch the work that they put in outside of the game. Because the work that you put in outside of training is the work that is going to propel you to wherever you want to go.
Right.
Right? So the extra work that you put in is the work that is really the driving force to how far you want to go. And that is a testament you could see with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Sergio Ramos, with a bunch of all these professional players. The work that they put in outside of their normal training is the work that is actually making them the player that they are. So if you have to kick a ball, for me, growing up, I was kicking the ball, banging the ball against my gate every evening after school. And the neighbors and them used to say, like, what the jail is this going on? The gate hole used to be here, and after me banging, the gate drag to here. You could have that space. Yeah, you know. Every evening I used to do the same thing. I do a step over wherever and I placing it down in the corner, placing it down in the
For
corner.
sure.
And it is just repetition. The more you do something is the better you get at it. And I think that is the words I would leave with them. You know, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Appreciate
Alright.
that. So
My question would be this. Do you see it as, do you have any unfinished business in terms of football? Anything that you seen as was next?
Yes, like yes, and I have to think realistically. Like, right? I have a desire to play still, but is there any vision of when this is going to restart, even in Trinidad? Right? That's one. Nobody's training. I'm doing some stuff to keep myself in shape, but not to the level that I'm supposed to be at or I could be at. Right? That comes with time as well. Right? I still feel I can contribute, but I also have to look realistically in terms of even now, like I feel I'm not fit, and I feel if I was fit, I could have been within that national team setup. Right? I feel if I really push myself, but I didn't push myself to even be on that wavelength. But I am also understand that I'm transitioning. So as much as I want to play, I could still play. I still want to learn more coaching as well. Right? So I still have a desire to play, but I'm also realistic with myself.
Right. Understood.
So
how into the coaching are you? Just as we come to a close, like have you started any badges yet?
yeah, I have my C on. My B is not completed because I left the country before it was completed to see the birth of my daughter.
Right.
And I just haven't completed it. After that time, then everything kind of went to. I got the opportunity. That's after that is when I got the opportunity to go over to Iceland. So there was that space, and then when we came back from Iceland is when everything kind of shut down. And so
I hope you complete it and you don't have to put it on your daughter to do it.
no.
Right,
But I'm making sure she is coordinated. So
Sure.
you
know, something does be inherited.
Like I say, I have my badges already.
Right.
I'm not going to put any pressure on her on what direction she wants to go to.
Right.
But I'm going to give her a foundation on whatever she wants to do.
For sure.
You know, and if that's football or if that's whatever, you know, I'm gonna make sure you're coordinated. I'm gonna make sure you're well read. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make sure that you're loved. So
Amen.
once you have all of that, whatever you want to do, I'm supporting you, but know that you have to do it to the best of your ability. Right? Go all out in whatever you want to do, and I'm good with that.
That can spoil. That reaching to end. I think you can have a 10.
That's the perfect ending right there.
So once again, Yohance, it was a real pleasure to meet you, dog.
A serious pleasure.
Appreciate
it. Was a great interview. We learned a lot. I relived that. That Mexico is like I was in it. Learn about all the places you went through. I'm sure a lot of people would be educated from this and would enjoy this content. But this is what we're trying to do every week: pump out some content, get to know our Trini heroes, talk about football, shine a spotlight, and just try to grow this platform as best as we could.
So there's a lot of stories out there that we want to make sure people could hear, man. It's just it's unbelievable. Just sitting down here with you is unbelievable. You was in Myanmar, dog. Like what? All right, it's crazy.
The experiences, and this is what had to pass on, you know, the experiences. But you can't keep your knowledge to yourself, then it wouldn't be knowledge. You had to pass that knowledge. So
not just the experiences, the recognition of what is possible.
Yeah.
The appreciation of what is possible, and I mean,
and how he could do it.
Yeah, you're gonna have the ups and downs. Is how you choose to see it, you know, and how you choose to bounce back from that. You know, I could look back at my career now and say that I've had experiences that players will never had. I've played against Messi. I was a teammate to David Beckham. I've traveled so much around the world, you know.
For sure.
So
score equalizer in the art.
Was it the Azteca?
It was
a World Cup game.
It was in Charlotte.
Oh, okay, I thought
it was Charlotte. It wasn't in Azteca.
Oh, I thought it was Mexico. Man. You see how little I know. Anyway, well, you see, I've been educated, right? So, once again, we appreciate you. We want to thank Yohance for coming on. So, Ade and Andre, myself will say signing off.
I saw off your song there. You didn't rhyme with everybody else.
That's yourself now. Why are you like this, though?
I can't help it, boy. I supposed to be. If we get done recording, I'll explain something.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and click on the link tree in the link below for everything on all our platforms. Have a good night, and you want to say good night, bro.
Thanks again, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
It was a good one. I really appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, bro.
man.
Listen.